Good morning and welcome to Friday morning, the 25th of February. Today's devotion is entitled Jesus Wept. Jesus Wept by Michael Card. Reference to John chapter 11 verses 1 through 37. Familiar figure comes. Now he's 3 days late. How could he take so long? Why did he hesitate? Two women question him, both weeping as they come, completely different, and yet they're both the same. Martha grasping at some vague religious hope, endless anxiety, she can barely cope. But Mary's gasping with her own hopeful fear. Lazarus would not have died if you had been here. Did Jesus weep for their disbelief? Or did he cry because his friend had died? Took on himself all of their pain and fear, all the mystery of his silent tears. He stood beside the tomb of his beloved friend and shouted out those words they could not comprehend. Then rose the smiling corpse, familiar silhouette. It was a moment they would never forget. Jesus wept that day. Mysterious, silent tears. The reason that he cried, it never will be clear. But there's one certain thing for now that we can say. He had come to wipe all our tears away. John was not the only beloved disciple. Lazarus is also described as the one he loved, and now he has died. Jesus' beloved friend is dead. He had received the word of Lazarus' fatal illness in plenty of time to come and heal him before he died. Yet Jesus stayed where he was for 3 costly days. It's almost as if he wanted his friend to die. He'd let it happen. The text leaves us with no choice but to wonder why. Martha and Mary are wondering as well. Martha with her head and Mary with her heart. They greet Jesus with precisely the same words. But coming from the two of them, as different as they were, those words have a completely different meaning. Jesus engages Martha with a discussion about his true nature. He simply weeps with Mary, is deeply moved. On the way out of town to the tomb, Jesus wept, the shortest verse in the Bible. On the way, he weeps. And we are left to wonder about just one more thing. The crowd believes he is weeping because of how much he loved Lazarus. But if you've been listening closely to the Gospel of John, you've learned that the crowd is almost always wrong. The crowd is almost always wrong. There must be another reason, and John chooses not to engage the obvious question. So often we want the answer to be one thing, but rarely in such complicated emotional moments are things that simple. Perhaps there are several reasons for Jesus' tears. Perhaps he was frustrated, angry at death itself, and still it has robbed, and all it has robbed from his friend. Maybe he was just so tired that seeing the others weeping, especially Mary, with whom he has a special emotional connection, he simply could not hold back the tears. He wept with those who wept. Perhaps he is contemplating what is waiting for him in Jerusalem in just a few days. After all, it will include a tomb and mourners, many of these same mourners, in fact. Perhaps he is weeping for their disbelief in his ability to do anything now that Lazarus is dead. Or just maybe it is a bit of all these things. So many speculations on what made Jesus cry. Maybe it was everything that has to do with death. The wages of sin is death. He was going to pay those wages. Maybe it was his friend, his good friend, having to go through what he went through. Maybe it's Mary and Martha. Maybe it's the lack of understanding and belief of others around him in the face of this. You don't know. But I do like that last line of the song. One thing is for certain. For now, there's one certain thing. For now that we can say, he had come to wipe all our tears away. It's a blessed thought. And we know that promise in Revelation that all tears will be gone when we get to glory. Blessings to you today. Live in hope. Live in hope in the middle of all that's going on in our world. Live in hope of the coming Lord. We may think he delays like Mary and Martha did, but the reality is all things happen in God's timing. Blessings to you today.